Bob Mueller's office doesn't leak, but one of their potential criminal targets is leaking the entire draft indictment and statement of offense. I'm going to show it to you right here. This is a draft court document that Mueller said he could use to charge Jerome Corsi, a Roger Stone associate, with lying to the FBI and to Mueller's office about several things, including conversations he had with Stone that relate to WikiLeaks. And that's why the name of a very controversial figure who, according to this leak, could be charged with a felony in the Mueller probe any time, why his name is in the news in a big way.
Jerome Corsi.
You have Jerome Corsi having conversations with Roger Stone.
This email from Jerome Corsi.
Jerome Corsi, Roger Stone associate.
The Corsi story.
Jerome Corsi is live on the beat. Thanks for being here.
Ari, great to be with you. Thank you.
You were offered a plea deal by Bob Mueller's team.
That's correct.
Why did you reject it?
Well, I felt the deal was fraudulent. It required me to lie, and it required me to violate various regulations, and even, I thought, commit fraud. And I won't do that. I will not lie to keep myself out of jail. And I realized that I could go to jail for the rest of my life. I'm 72 years old. I might die in jail, but I'm still making this decision.
You think what you're doing today increases the risk that you will be charged, be convicted, and die in jail?
Yes, I do.
When you look at this plea negotiation, you did enter into some kind of discussions with them. What would you have accepted? What would a plea deal look like that you would take?
I'd have taken immunity.
Jerome, that's not a plea deal. That's just immunity.
That's my terms. They proposed this and said, we want you to consider it. Now, this first count, which they said you only have to agree to one count, but you have to go in front of a federal judge and swear this on a Bible. All right, now, for me to do that, I believe in my heart would have been a lie. That count says that I knowingly and willfully presented information I knew to be false with an intent to deceive federal authorities. I do not believe I did that. In my heart, I went in to tell the truth, did my best to tell the truth, and I will not swear before God and the judge something I consider to be a lie.
But you did say something at the time that you now acknowledge to be false.
No, I acknowledge that what I testified day one, because I had not seen my 2016 emails.
I understand, but I'm going to hold you on this.
But go ahead.
You had led them to believe that you did not have contact with someone on behalf of Roger Stone when you did.
The first day, the statement I gave was wrong.
Wrong, okay.
Okay, and it was wrong because I forgot the email that they're referring to. I had not seen it 2 years.
Well, let's show this so viewers can understand, because this stuff is pretty important. It's obviously important to your life, but it's important to the probe.
In detail.
Here it is. The Mueller document on this says Corsi contacted an individual in London to pass on person one, Roger Stone's request to learn about WikiLeaks materials for the campaign. You did do that.
And the special counsel allowed me to amend the original testimony, and I testified after I saw the email that that was true and a fact, and I didn't deny it.
Right, and here's that email, which you have provided to NBC News from Roger Stone, and I'm going to read a part of it where it says this individual, Malik, should see Assange.
Correct.
At the time, what were you guys trying to do? Were you trying to get information about the stolen Clinton emails back to the Trump campaign?
Yes, and obviously I wouldn't have sent that if I didn't want Malik to go. Everybody in the world who was in news or political operations after July 22nd, when Assange, 2016, when Assange dumped all these emails on Debbie Wasserman Schultz, said he had more, everybody wanted to know what they were.
You wanted them out, though, to help the Trump campaign?
Absolutely.
Did you see anything wrong with that?
No. First of all, under New York Times v. U.S., the Pentagon Papers case, even if Julian Assange had stolen any material that was classified, as a journalist, I can see him, I can get that material, and I can publish it. I'm not committing a crime. So I was happy to do it, and I was happy that it would benefit Donald Trump.
Okay, and I appreciate you putting that on the record. Now, then, this is also from the Mueller documents that you've leaked.
Right.
Your email, you're telling Stone, you've got a friend in the embassy planning these 2 more document dumps.
That's Assange.
Yep, that's Assange. One shortly after I'm back, you write. Second, in October, impact planned to be very damaging. Time to let more than the Clinton campaign chair be exposed as in bed with the enemy if they're not ready to drop HRC. Is that a reference to John Podesta?
Yes, and let me explain that, because this was one of the main points of contention with the special counsel. I maintain, and it's my best recollection, that I figured that out. Now, special counsel couldn't believe that. They said, Dr. Corsi, we've got emails. You knew it was Podesta. You knew he was going to drop them in October. You knew how he was going to drop them. You knew almost what they included and what they contained. I said, yes, that's true. Well, how'd you know? I figured it out.
So you tell Roger Stone about Podesta.
Yes.
He goes on to publicly predict it and tweet about it.
Correct.
That was based on you?
Well, I don't know what Roger based it on, but I certainly did tell him, and it could have been based on me. You'll have to ask Roger what he thinks. I didn't.
Well, Roger's spoken. I've interviewed Roger as well.
Sure.
He's also spoken a lot about it. He also touted his intermediary to WikiLeaks at the time. I mean, during the campaign. Let's look at Roger Stone. This was before you all knew that there'd be a criminal probe into your conduct. This was Roger Stone saying he had an intermediary.
I have not met with Mr. Assange, and I never said I had. I said we communicated through an intermediary, somebody who is a mutual friend.
Is that you?
I don't know. You'll have to ask Roger. Now, Roger told me on August 15th or 13th, and I published an article saying that Roger had made contact with Assange. I didn't think it was me because I didn't think Roger believed that I contacted Assange.
What about now that the main thing that links Roger to Assange with private intelligence, with things that no one else seemed to know at the time, is Podesta, and that came from you? Could you be Roger's intermediary?
Oh, sure. But it was not because I talked to Assange. It was because I figured it out on my own. I've never spoken with Julian Assange. I don't know him, and I have no contact that I was an intermediary. There was no third party who said Roger Stone's got this.
But you were making an important point tonight in this interview, which is that Julian Assange as an intermediary, the fact that there was information believed to be private that proved to be accurate, Podesta's time in the barrel, that could have come from you in Roger Stone's mind that you would be that intermediary.
You'll have to ask Roger Stone. I told Roger Stone this. Let's get this clear. In July, I was on vacation with my wife in Italy, 25th anniversary in the family. I think flying over, I figured out that Assange had Podesta's emails. I told Roger in this email, and subsequently, I thought it was Podesta's emails.
Right.
Okay.
So let's get to...
Can I make one more point on that?
Okay, go ahead.
The other point is, this was my conclusion, my supposition. It did not come from Assange, and it didn't connect back to Assange. So there's no link from me to Assange. The link is from me figuring this out and telling Roger. Now, if I was the source, it was because Roger believed me figuring it out, not because Roger believed I had a source.
So you gave that defense to Mueller's prosecutors.
It's actually the truth.
It's also a defense.
Well, you call it, it's fine. It's a defense.
It's a defense.
It's the truth.
You said that to them. How did they take that?
They didn't believe it. Jeannie Reed, one of the prosecutors, said, Dr. Corsi, you are asking us to believe that on an extended international flight with your wife for an anniversary, you had divine intervention. And God inspired your mind and told you Assange has Podesta's emails. He's going to dump them in October, and they're going to be dumped in a serial fashion. Is that what you're saying? I said, well, I guess, Ms. Reed, that's about what I'm saying.
Did they give you the impression that they were upset with you?
Absolutely.
Did they raise their voice?
Yes. Stormed out of the room.
Did they yell at you?
Yes. Well, I mean, yell. They don't have to raise their voice to yell.
Because they have power.
And they make their points with such strength that you know they're saying, if you don't give us the source, you're going to jail for the rest of your life.
So that's how they reacted to this defense of yours. How did they react to this other defense that you made on behalf of Roger Stone, which is you agreed to help Roger mislead Congress about how he found out about Podesta?
Well, see, in fact, that was the first. There's 2 rounds of this that I went through. Round 1, I openly discussed that with him and admitted it all because it was true. I was telling the truth.
You were telling them the truth about a lie?
No. Well, okay, so yes.
Yes, you were telling them the truth about a lie.
I'm going to clarify that if you'll allow me to.
You are allowed. You're getting time here, but you and Roger...
I'm going to clarify that.
You and Roger put forward false information to the Congressional Committee about the source of the Podesta
Would you allow
tip.
me?
You are allowed. You're getting time, but that's about a lie.
Okay, would you allow me?
Go ahead.
I've been trained in public relations by Edward Bernays. British Petroleum becomes BP, and now they're Beyond Petroleum. Is that a lie? It's a repositioning. In politics, there's a lot of repositioning that goes on. If that were a lie and people were guilty of a crime for doing that, there'd hardly be a politician alive today.
Well, You want to debate it. I didn't say crime. I said lie to Congress because, let's hold on, you told the Mueller folks, as I understand it, that Roger wanted you to come up with a false cover story for the Podesta part. There's some reason why Roger Stone thought that he needed to not tell the truth about Podesta, but to work with you on a lie.
If you'll allow me, in front of the grand jury, Aaron Zelinsky said, Dr. Corsi, was that a lie? I said, yes.
Okay.
He said, was this a lie? I said, yes. Was this a lie? Yes. So I openly admitted to them that in their terms, this was a lie.
Why did you do that?
Because it's the truth.
And why did Roger Stone want you to lie about the Podesta information?
You'll have to ask Roger Stone, because at Harvard, I neglected to take the mind reading course. Now, I've got one more point I want to make to you, and that is, when this testimony came up over the issue of the House Intelligence Committee, I was given immunity by the Mueller prosecutors in order to make this testimony, because my lawyer did not want me to be held then for suborning perjury, because Roger used that memo in his testimony, the House Intelligence Committee sworn testimony, and I did not object to it. Okay?
He used that memo. Do you think he used you?
I don't know if he used me. He used Credico as the source he said he had. I go back to say, I could have been Roger. I don't believe Roger ever thought that I had legitimate information, because I never represented to Roger that I went to see Assange or I had a connection with Assange.
And you think he used Credico. Credico, this is important, has publicly denied that he was the intermediary.
Well, you'll have to talk about
Let me show you that just so folks remember. Here's Randy Credico. Do you ever carry messages from Julian Assange about what he might plan to do or the nature of his work to other people anywhere else in the world?
No, absolutely not.
So he says he was definitely not the intermediary. You say tonight that Roger may have thought you were the intermediary. When you gave Roger this hot information about Podesta, whatever its origin, he must have told Trump about that.
Well, you know, again, Roger didn't report everything he did to me. I don't know what Roger did. You'll have to ask Roger.
But you know Roger Stone, who's at the center of this, and he is an advisor to Donald Trump, and that was hot information that proved to be true. You would expect he would tell Trump rather than keep that from Trump.
When I figured out it was Podesta, I told Stone, and I told about everybody I knew, and I knew it would help help Donald Trump, and I was happy to do that. I was speculating, but I was sure I was right.
Is it accurate to say you expected Roger to tell Trump?
I didn't. Look, logically, should I have expected it? Yes, of course.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. Well, no. You asked me. I didn't know. See, you're asking me questions about somebody else's state of mind, and I can't answer those questions.
Well, the expectation, sir, would be your state of mind, because you said you thought it would help Trump. Roger is a Trump advisor. Roger's come to you with a very special request. This is not just everyday business. Roger's come to you with a request. Have someone as an intermediary in London go to Assange. Then you come back and give him this hot intel about Podesta, which proves to be true. And I'm asking, in the context of that arrangement, did you expect that information to go to Donald Trump?
The part you're missing is that I told Roger, Malik's never going to go to see. It's not going to happen. Malik is not going to go to see Assange. I didn't think anybody was going to go to see Assange. Certainly, I told Joseph Farah, my boss at WorldNet Daily, buy me an airplane ticket. I'll go see Assange. But I didn't think Assange hadn't told anybody. Oh, hi, Julian. Glad to meet you. I'm Jerry Corsi. Would you please tell me what else you've got?
Right. You didn't think that was viable.
Would you please give me a few so I can scoop you? It was not going to work. So Assange wasn't going to tell anybody. I happened to figure it out. And I don't think that Stone thought I was a connection to Assange, because I didn't represent that.
And you understand that the reaction of the Mueller investigators is a reaction many people would have, that your defense is you magically figured this out yourself without other leading information, got it right, and told Roger Stone.
Yes, Ms. Ree, that's exactly what happened on the flight going across to Italy.
When you look at all this, you also have a joint defense agreement with President Trump. Is that still active today?
Yes, but it was not ever formal written, but we've acted that way, and we represented such to the special counsel. They know that.
You do or do not have a joint defense agreement?
There's nothing in writing, but my attorneys and President's attorneys are communicating as if there were an agreement in writing.
You have a verbal understanding of an agreement?
Yes, that's correct, and that exists.
And what type of information pursuant to that agreement have you provided to Trump's lawyers?
My instructions as the attorney, and I did not participate, and these were all lawyer to lawyer.
Copy.
I didn't listen to them or hear any recording of them. My instructions were one way. In other words, we'll tell the president what we're doing. So he's informed. Again, I support the president. I want him to be able to survive the Mueller investigation. I want him to run for re-election and be re-elected. That's all my political preferences. So I said, let's let the president know what's going on in the Mueller investigation. I didn't want advice. I didn't want to know about anybody else's case. Jay Sekulow was not saying, tell Jerry Corsi to do this. It didn't happen, and I wasn't interested in it. And I'm not counting on Donald Trump for anything, including a pardon. That's not the basis on which I made my decision. Why
are you bringing up a pardon in a television interview?
Everybody, you were talking about it before. Everybody.
But I didn't ask you about the pardon. Well, you're bringing up a pardon.
I'm bringing it up because I want to make it clear that I don't expect one. I'm not asking for one, and I'm making my decision completely on the basis that I know I'll have to face trial if they do indict me.
I understand.
And the consequences are I may go to prison the rest of my life.
Sir, I understand you face serious consequences.
I understand that, and I understand that.
Would you accept a pardon?
No. Well, accept a pardon is hypothetical.
The whole conversation. You brought up a hypothetical pardon conversation.
I'm going to give you a hypothetical answer. Let's let it be offered, and I'll tell you what I'll do at that time.
So people listening may draw the inference that you actually are right now auditioning for a pardon when you end that statement by saying, let it be offered.
I wish I took that mind reading. You're asking me now to tell you what people who are listening think. I don't know what they're thinking.
But you're not asking for a pardon, is what you maintain.
I'm not asking for a pardon.
Understood.
And I'm not anticipating a pardon.
Do you understand why people don't believe you?
Yes, of course. I've had this problem all my life. I told my mother when I was in kindergarten, I said to my mother the first day of kindergarten, I came home early. I said, why, Jerry? I said, well, I'm not going to go back. I'm done with this. And I knew at 5 years old, my mother wasn't going to accept that. I've had this issue all my life. That when I come to decisions, I don't think the way people otherwise normally do. When I come to one of these things and put it together, often it's right, but nobody's going to believe me that I put it together. I've had that over and over again. So I don't expect the special prosecutors to believe them. But I'm not going to tell them a lie that they want to hear because I can't invent somebody who didn't exist.
You are here because it is newsworthy that you are a target of this probe.
Correct.
You also, politically, are known as a leader of the birther movement,
yes.
Which is a total and complete lie that you believe. Is there, let me please, let me finish the question.
Finish your question, yeah.
Is this the same defense you are now trying to use with Mueller as you've used in that political operation, which is that you stand for a lie that you say you believe, and your defense is that because you genuinely believe the lie, you shouldn't be held accountable for it?
So you have a copy of the original Hawaii 1961 birth registration for Barack Obama. I haven't seen it. I went down with law enforcement, Mike Zulu, Sheriff of Ohio. Hawaii wouldn't show it to law enforcement. I don't think it exists. Now, if you can show me that, I'll agree I was wrong. So far, all that we have is a computer printout from the White House that didn't exist in 1961 that forensic analysis says is a fraud. So I'll stand by what I originally said as true, even though you think it's a lie. You believe the state-warranted conventional assumption. And I'm a conspiracy theorist, which was a term invented by the CIA for people who doubt that Lee Harvey Oswald, not at the peak of his game as a shooter, with a used Italian rifle that didn't shoot straight when it was made, and a sight that was misaligned, killed Jack Kennedy shooting past a tree with 3 shots. I don't believe that happened. Now, again...
But my question to you is...
Yes.
Do you think that that will help you in your defense, that because you have believed this other lie, you say, and you've devoted time and energy to this other lie, that now that you have this apparent lie in front of you, you can just say, well, I believe lies, that's sort of my thing?
Mr. Zelensky actually asked me that. He said, Dr. Corsi, you're very good. You take a fact from here, a fact from there, and a lie, and then you package it and convince people that it's true. I'm looking at Zelensky.
You're talking about the Mueller prosecutor?
Yeah.
Did he ask that in relation to birtherism or other issues?
Oh, he didn't say birtherism, but that's what I suggested he was saying.
You knew he was talking about that because you know that that is a lie.
I get it. No. Because I know he can't accept what I have written yet as true.
So he brings that up with you and says what?
He says, you don't know the difference between true and false. said, you're so confused in your mind you can't answer questions.
Which does make it harder to prove a false statement.
No, it's not a tactic. I'm sitting here tonight and I'm telling you, I do not believe Barack Obama has a legitimate 1961 original birth certificate. I don't think it could ever be produced. I defy you to produce it or anybody else. I'm telling you here. Secondly, that when I flew to Italy on that flight, I did figure out on my own, without any outside help or influence, that Julian Assange had Podesta's emails and exactly how he would use them.
Well, a lot of what you've said does not add up, and you know that because you've admitted that some of what you've said in the context of this topic are lies that you had to admit to. You've also admitted that you and Roger Stone worked together to mislead this government investigation on the congressional side.
I object to your characterization, Counselor.
I understand, and that's why you're here, because you get to be a part of this. This is me rapping. Fine. I appreciate you coming in, though.
Can I rap?
You can have a final statement.
Okay. First of all, I don't think I lied. I had a mistake.
You admitted on this interview to lying.
I had oh no, we're talking, there's two things. When I did the work for Roger
yes,
there.
I'm referring to the out-of-court
And I said,
lies.
in your terms, it was a lie. In my terms, it was politics. Politics is that way. I don't consider that to have been...
But you did admit in this interview today that you told those lies because you had to update them to Mueller.
And I told it to the grand jury because in front of the grand jury, they're not going to believe my longer explanation. Okay, what I believe in my heart. Okay? So I've said, fine, you want to call it a lie, call it a lie. But I'm telling you right now is I did not have a source that going back to Assange. I did get this all put together on my own. I was not an intermediary between Stone and Assange. And in fact, I'll stand by that.
You'll stand by that. And I told you you'd get your final statement.
And I appreciate that.
And I appreciate you coming in and taking the questions. And what you did say that's true is you are in a situation that has pressure, that has potential criminal liability. I appreciate you coming in and taking the questions.
And I'll come back.
All right. Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.